This is a Brooklyn News special report.
And a good day, good to be with you. I'm Jackson Mitchell, joining you live from Brooklyn News headquarters here in Brooklyn, Arkansas. We are coming on the air because just moments ago, President Donald Trump has signed executive orders from the Oval Office. We have the video just in. We want to listen into that now. Here's just moments ago from the White House on those executive orders.
Foreign Corrupt Practices Act. As you've repeatedly identified, the way that this act has been enforced over the years has been devastating to American business opportunities and business competitiveness abroad. We are essentially ordering the Department of Justice to use its prosecutorial discretion in a way to ameliorate the negative effects of the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act.
Okay, it appears we were having some audio issues. We have it back now. Again, this is moments ago in the White House as President Donald Trump signed a number of executive orders.
For those of you that know this, it turned out to be, it sounds good on paper, but in practicality, it's a disaster. It means that if an American goes over to a country and starts doing business over there legally, legitimately, or otherwise, it's almost a guaranteed investigation, indictment, and nobody wants to do business with the Americans because of it. Nobody wants to do business. They say, look, we can deal with China. They can do whatever they want. We can deal with Russia. We can deal with anybody. And we have a normal life. You deal with America, the FBI gets over there. They don't investigate death and murders on the street in New York and Los Angeles. They go over and investigate a business guy trying to do business. So it made it very, very hard from a practical standpoint to make deals. They want to deal with the Americans, but they don't want to be under investigation every time they speak to an American, every time an American makes a phone call to somebody in a different country. It's a disaster for this country. And I guess it was a Jimmy Carter concept, and it sounds so good, but it's so bad. It hurts the country, and many, many deals are unable to be made because of it. Nobody wants to do business because they don't want to feel like every time they pick up a phone, they're going to jail. So we'll sign this, and it takes courage to sign it because you only get bad publicity when you sign it. It sounds so nice. The title is so lovely, but it's an absolutely horror show for America. So we're signing it because that's what we have to do to make it good. It's going to mean a lot more business for America. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Next, this is an executive order relating to the use of paper straws. As you've consistently identified, nobody really likes paper straws.
Number one trending. Can you believe it? A paper straw was number one trending for 3 days or something.
The environmental impact of plastic straws versus paper straws is entirely unclear. This has cost both the government and private industry an absolute ton of money and left consumers all over the country wildly dissatisfied with their straws. So we're asking aspects of the federal government, federal departments and agencies to look at their existing procurement processes, and we're asking your Domestic Policy Council to look holistically at this issue to address it, and it really is something that affects ordinary Americans in their everyday lives.
We're going back to plastic straws. These things don't work. I've had them many times, and on occasion they break, they explode. If something's hot, they don't last very long, like a matter of minutes, sometimes a matter of seconds. It's a ridiculous situation. So we're going back to plastic straws. I think it's okay. And I don't think that plastic's going to affect a shark very much as they're munching their way through the ocean. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have a full and unconditional pardon for former Governor Rod Blagojevich of the state of Illinois.
Good. It's my honor to do it. I've watched him. He was set up by a lot of bad people, some of the same people that I had to deal with. He wasn't quite as successful, but he had somebody that saw what was going on. I didn't know him other than I believe he was on The Apprentice for a little while. He was just a very nice person. He had a fantastic wife. She fought like hell to get him out. He was given a sentence of like 18 years. And it was a sort of a terrible injustice. They just were after him. They go after a lot of people. These are bad people on the other side. So I think he's just a very fine person. And this shouldn't have happened, and it shouldn't have happened to him. And let him have a normal life and what he has to do. So I'm signing this as a full pardon. Rod Blagojevich.
Mr. President, are you considering him for ambassador to Serbia?
No, but I would. I mean, he's now cleaner than anybody in this room. He got a pardon. He's cleaner than anybody in the room. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Next, in 2018, you imposed ad valorem duties, tariffs on imports of steel at a 25% rate. Since that time, a large number of exclusions and exceptions to that tariff rule have been implemented. Because of the damage to the United States steel industry that those exceptions and exclusions have imposed, we're now, this order would reimpose that 25% ad valorem tariff rate on imports of steel, and it's presented for your signature now.
Okay. Do you understand what that means? It's a big deal. It's a big deal. This is the beginning of making America rich again. Mr. Secretary, do you have anything to say? As you know, Howard is Secretary of Commerce, doing a fantastic job. And what do you have to say about it?
So when you imposed the tariffs the first time,
Right.
you added 120,000 jobs. And since that time, it's been picked away and excluded away, and we've lost 107,000 jobs. And remember, these aren't just general jobs. These are steel workers in America, and now you're going to bring them back. You're going to bring those 120,000 jobs back to America. You are the president who's standing up for the American steel worker, and I am just tremendously impressed and delighted to stand.
Make a statement, and essentially this is another way of saying we're doing a 25% tariff on steel and aluminum. American trade policies have led our once incredible United States steel and aluminum industries, once incredible, it's once incredible, not now, but they're not bad. I saved them because of my first term, totally saved them. Massive tariffs, not the highest level, but pretty massive tariffs. We took in a lot of money and we took in a lot of jobs, but we were being pummeled by both friend and foe alike. Our nation requires steel and aluminum to be made in America, not in foreign lands. We need to create, in order to protect our country's future, a resurgence of U.S. manufacturing and production, the likes of which has not been seen for many decades. It's time for our great industries to come back to America. I want them back to America. This is the first of many, and you know what I mean by that. We're going to be doing others on other subjects, topics. Protecting our steel and aluminum industries is a must, and today I'm simplifying our tariffs on steel and aluminum so that everyone can understand exactly what it means. It's 25% without exceptions or exemptions, and that's all countries, no matter where it comes from, all countries. If made in the United States of America, there is no tariff, it's zero. So if it's made in the United States, there is no tariff. All you have to do is make it in the United States. We don't need it from another. As an example, Canada. If we make it in the United States, we don't need it to be made in Canada. We'll have the jobs. That's why Canada should be our 51st state. We'll bring back industries, and we'll bring back our jobs, and we'll make America industry great again. So essentially, we're putting on a 25% tariff without exception on all aluminum, putting in the United States. Now, we're going to be meeting over the next 4-week period, maybe on a weekly basis, and maybe we'll do a couple of them at different times and maybe together. But we'll be talking about other subjects like cars. We'll be talking about drugs and pharmaceuticals. We'll be discussing chips, and we're going to be doing some other things in addition to that, all which will bring in a lot of jobs into our country. Cars is going to be a very big one and a very important one. and America is going to be stronger than it ever was before. Okay? So, are you finished with everything?
Okay,
I think?
so
We have aluminum
apologies
still
for that
let's go.
feedback
So
there.
with respect to aluminum, similarly to steel,
Did not mean
since
for
2018, a
that
large
to
number of
happen. I want to turn this
exceptions
down just a little bit because I do want to mention something really quickly as we all just watch this come in again moments ago at the White House. President Donald Trump signing a number of executive orders. We are going to continue to listen in, but I want to note that this video, this feed from just moments ago is about 30 minutes long, so we are going to continue to listen in. Just wanted to note that as we go forward. Trump already signing an executive order on plastic straws and a number of others. Let's continue listening in here to Donald Trump there in the Oval Office.
Amazing for our country, amazing for our jobs, and will bring us to a new level of prosperity. And I think, frankly, our allies and our enemies all over the world expected this. They really expected it for years. They really expected it sometime during the Biden administration, but they didn't do anything. As you know, I put tariffs on China. We took in hundreds of billions of dollars with those tariffs, and Biden wasn't able to get them out. He tried to, but it was too much money. He couldn't do it. And we're going to be doing a very concise and, a very, it's going to be good in countries. But they've been taking advantage of us for years and years and years. And they've charged us tariffs. Most of them have charged us, almost everyone, I would say, almost without exception. They've charged us, and we haven't charged them. And it's time to be reciprocal. So you'll be hearing that word a lot, reciprocal. If they charge us, we charge them. If they're at 25, we're at 25. If they're at 10, we're at 10. And if they're much higher than 25, that's where we are too. So that's having to do with everything. That's not just steel and aluminum. But we'll be discussing that over the next couple of weeks. But we will be looking at chips, and we will be looking at cars, and we're going to be looking at pharmaceuticals, and there'll be a couple of other things also in addition. That'll be another question.
Mr. President, Mr. President, U.S. steelworkers have said that they support this move. What would you say to American consumers who are worried that prices
That they do support this move?
U.S. steelmakers?
I love the steel makers. That's good. Of course they, because they want to save their businesses. U.S. Steel will now be a very valuable company. Anybody that makes steel is going to be great. Anybody that works in big steel is going to be very happy.
What do you say to consumers who are worried about prices, sir?
Oh, I don't think you're going to. No, you're going to ultimately have a price reduction because they're going to make their steel here. There's not going to be any tariff. These foreign companies will move to the United States, will make their steel and aluminum in the United States. Ultimately, it'll be cheaper. But we'll also have jobs, many, many more jobs.
Sir, what are you looking at in terms of tariffs on cars and chips?
Well, we're looking at numbers, and we'll be coming up with a number, but we make some of the finest cars in the world, and some companies prohibit us from selling those cars in their countries, but they sell us cars, they send cars to us, and we don't do that. We charge nothing or 2.5%, and they'll be charging 100%. They'll be charging much more than that if you look at some of them. So I think those days are over. But we'll be announcing on other things such as cars. We got some other things we'll be doing. But the biggest thing is reciprocal. We want tariffs to be fair. If they charge us, we charge them.
Why are the reciprocal tariffs?
We'll be doing reciprocal over the next, I would say 2 days, don't you think? 2 days, yeah, maybe.
Mr. President, the Australian Prime Minister has said that you are considering an exemption from Australia on steel. Is that correct? And why?
I just spoke to him, very fine man, and he has a surplus. I mean, we have a surplus with Australia, one of the few. And the reason is they buy a lot of airplanes. They are rather far away, and they need lots of airplanes. And we actually have a surplus. It's one of the only countries which we do. And I told him that that's something that we will give great consideration to.
And would you consider one for the UK as well?
Well, we have a huge deficit with the UK. Big difference.
You don't have a deficit with Argentina. Is that country also going to be?
We have a deficit with a little deficit with Argentina. We almost with every country, but Australia, because of the airplanes, they buy a lot of airplanes. There's a little bit of a surplus.
Mr. President, if other countries retaliate,
I don't mind.
What is your plan for example, farmers? Last term, you
Well, the farmers are going to be helped greatly. Yeah, the farmers are going to be helped greatly because they're not going to be dumping everything into our country. This will be a great bill for farmers. And in terms of retail, it's, as I said, it's reciprocal. So if they raise it a little bit, then we raise it automatically. So I don't think it helps for them to retaliate. But also remember this, they can't really retaliate because we're the piggy bank. We're the piggy bank. But if we don't do this, we won't be the piggy bank for long. We won't be much of a country.
Mr. President, you see that report, sir, that Hamas is going to stop releasing Israeli hostages, and what was your reaction?
I think it's terrible. Look, I looked at the hostages that came in, and they're emaciated. It looked like something out of the 1930s. It's an absolute disgrace. And I think they saw the way the world viewed it, and they're looking for a reason not to send more because they're all. You take a look at that. It looked like it was a concentration camp, which essentially it was. It looks like it came out of the Holocaust. And what a sad thing. One of them was a young man, good-looking guy, a little bit heavier than perhaps he could have been, and now he looks like he's not even recognizable. Not even recognizable.
Ceasefire deal at risk of falling apart.
Look, I can tell you that those people have been badly hurt, both mentally. I'm talking about the young women that came out also previously. And I think one of the reasons they're doing this is because they're probably sending the best. What you see is probably the best because they want to send people that look at least healthy. And that's not healthy. These people have been badly hurt. They've been interviewed by our representatives. They've been interviewed by Israeli representatives, and they're really hurting. They are really hurting mentally and physically. And I think Hamas is looking at that and saying, well, it's not going to get much better than that because they probably send out their best as a representative, and they've got more to send out, and they probably feel that they can't do that because it's not going to make them look very good.
Is the ceasefire delay that, sir? Should the ceasefire then be off?
Well, I would say this, and I'm going to let that because that's Israel's decision, but as far as I'm concerned, if all of the hostages aren't returned by Saturday at 12 o'clock, I think it's an appropriate time. I would say cancel it and all bets are off, and I'd say they ought to be returned by 12 o'clock on Saturday, and if they're not returned, all of them, not in drips and drabs, not 2 and 1 and 3 and 4 and 2. Saturday at 12 o'clock, and after that, I would say all hell is going to break out. And I don't think they're going to do it. I think a lot of them are dead. I think a lot of the hostages are dead. I think it's a great human tragedy. What's happened? How people can be that mean to do. I mean, the one guy was laughing when a hostage he thought his family was alive, found out the family was dead, and his captor, so to speak, started laughing because he thought it was so funny. You know, this is a different group of people. No, I would say Saturday at 12, we want them all back. I'm speaking for myself. Israel can override it. But from myself, Saturday at 12 o'clock, and if they're not here, all hell is going to break out.
Mr.
President, in an interview this weekend, you said that Palestinians would not be guaranteed the right to return to Gaza if the U.S. were to develop it. What did you mean by that? And under
We've spoken to a lot of Palestinians. They would love to leave Gaza if they could find a place to be. And I've spoken to various leaders of various countries in the not so, distant area from where we're talking about, the Gaza Strip. And I think they were very positive about providing land. What we need is land. And if we could build a nice place for people to live safely, everybody in Gaza would do it. They've been persecuted. They've been spit on. They've been treated like trash. And they would love to get out of Gaza. But until now, they never had an alternative. Now they have an alternative. And As far as Hamas is concerned, you're seeing the real Hamas now with the hostages.
Mr. President,
Yeah.
On Gaza, you're having
Who are you, from where?
the Wall Street Journal, sir.
Yeah, that's what I
The Jordanian leader is coming in to see you.
Yeah.
Folks in Jordan have expressed
Tomorrow.
opposition to taking in more Gazans, more Palestinians. How do you going to convince him to do otherwise?
I think he'll take. I mean, I do think he'll take, and I think other countries will take also. They have good hearts. I think they'll take.
But what about the Palestinians who just won't leave? Our team has spoken to many.
They're all going to leave when they have a place that's a better alternative. When they have a nice place that's safe, they're all going to leave. It's a hellhole right now.
But how are you so sure? Would the U.S. force them to leave?
You're going to see that they're all going to want to leave.
Mr. President, when it comes to Saturday at noon, are you, the American hostage is still being held by Hamas right now? Are you worried about?
Look, you know, who knows? Are they alive? Are they not alive? But I saw the condition. When I saw the condition of the last ones that came out, and the women too, everybody. The one woman had her hand blown off because she was trying to stop a bullet being fired at her, okay? What kind of a situation is that? You saw her. I just think it's time to either you release everybody. They're not going to be alive right now, based on what I saw over the last 2 days. They're not going to be alive for long. Saturday at 12 o'clock, and after that, it's going to be a different ballgame.
Mr. President, when you say all hell is going to break loose, are you speaking about retaliation from?
You'll find out, and they'll find out too. Hamas will find out what I mean.
Mr. President,
They're going to find out what I mean. These are sick people, and they'll find out what I mean Saturday at 12 o'clock.
But no involvement
How
from
about
the U.S.
Palestinians from the West Bank? Are they going to be relocated too? What's your
Well,
position
right
on the
now,
West
no,
Bank?
right now they're there, and I assume they want to remain there. It's different. They're there. It's never been like what we're talking about with the Gaza Strip.
So they're going to continue there? You have
No, I had no plans there.
Mr. President, regarding the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, Democrats, including Elizabeth Warren, have said that by freezing it, it's giving big banks and giant corporations the green light to sue
Yeah,
families. Your response?
Pocahontas is the faker. You know, that was set up to destroy people. She used that as her little personal agency to go around and destroy people. And she's a fake. Just like she said she was an Indian, and she wasn't an Indian. You have more Indian blood in you than she has. She went to college based on the fact that she was an Indian. She got jobs based on the fact that she was an Indian. She's a fake. And it worked. I mean, it worked. A lot of great people. I'll tell you, before I ever heard the term, people would come up to me in the Midwest and areas and say, "Sir, I'm being destroyed by them." They use that to destroy people. She's a nasty woman. She's a really nasty woman, despite her phony beer commercial. We did the right thing. That was a very important thing to get rid of. And it was also a waste. I mean, number one, it was a bad group of people running it, but it was also a waste. If you looked at when she really ran it, wow, that was a vicious group of people. They really destroyed a lot of people.
And you can confirm it's your goal is to have it totally eliminated,
I
the
would
agency?
say, yeah, because we're trying to get rid of waste, fraud, and abuse.
What's next?
And didn't I hear that somebody made like $38 million or something running a little agency? What was her name? What was her name, and what did she do, and what was that all about, all the money that she made? Does anybody know? Okay. Yeah, Brian, go ahead.
Good to see you. The latest CBS poll has your approval ratings at an all-time high, despite all these controversial subjects and executive orders that you're doing. I want to get your thoughts on that, how you really connected to mainstream America.
Yeah, I have high approval ratings because I'm using common sense, whether it's getting men out of women's sports, what goes on with the boxers and with the weightlifters and with the swimmers and everything. It's so ridiculous. And I think it's a 90% issue. And, the amazing thing, the Democrats are still fighting for it. It's crazy. It's crazy. I think we should go to Congress also, have that cemented and, make it indelible. But it's, to me, it's all common sense. Who wants an open border where prisons are dumped into our country, where prisoners are let into our country, many of whom are murderers, many of whom murdered far more than one person, and they're now roaming our country. Who wants that? I mean, it's,
Yes, well, as you know, Mr. President, since you issued your day one executive orders, border crossings are down approximately 95%. You talk to agents on the line, in their entire careers, they've never seen crossing days as low as what they're experiencing right now. The cartels, in fact, are enormously frustrated because they've never seen a clampdown like this before in American history. There are people who were working at Border Patrol back when it was at INS in the 80s and 90s. They've never seen a day like this. That's because you've mobilized the 10th Mounted Division, the Marines, the entire U.S. military. They're erecting physical miles of barrier, temporary and ultimately permanent, every single day. You have all of your border agents pushed to the front line. They're not doing the humanitarian processing, quote unquote, that Biden was doing. They're doing law enforcement and national security. They're interdicting weapons and drugs. They're interdicting violent, high-threat criminals. And the U.S. military is repatriating illegal immigrants at a pace and a scale that has never occurred before in American history. And those who are committing human trafficking and child trafficking are being prosecuted for felony offenses, and they'll be doing hard time in jail. There's never been a lockdown like what you have implemented through your orders and vision since you took the oath of office.
What's your thoughts on Doge? Wednesday at 10 a.m. We're having our first subcommittee
Yeah.
focus on the fraud and Medicare.
yeah, before I discuss that, I just want to add to what Steve said. And we want people to come into our country, but we want them to come in legally. They have to go through a process. And we have to know that they haven't killed 9 people, or they haven't killed, like in one case, five people. And they're out on the loose, and we're all looking for that particular individual. This was all led in by Biden and the group of stupid people, bad people and stupid people. Some are bad, some are stupid, some are both. But I'll tell you what they've done to this country. But with bad people we have to get at. We're searching out for a lot of them. I think Tom Holman and Christie are doing an unbelievable job. Christie Noem. They're doing an unbelievable job and taking out massive numbers of people. And you notice every country is accepting those people back. Remember, everyone said, oh, they'll never accept them. They're all taking them back. They have to. They're all taking them back. Every single country is taking them back. I don't know if they want them or not. I don't imagine they do, but they're taking them back.
Are you going to talk to Zelensky this week?
President, back on Gaza, you talked with Fox News about the billions of dollars we pay for Jordan and Egypt every year. Would you withhold aid to these countries if they don't agree to take in the Palestinians?
Yeah, maybe. Sure. Why not? I mean, if they don't
Bill
agree,
that you mentioned?
if they don't agree, I would conceivably withhold aid. Yeah.
Are you going to talk to Prime Minister Netanyahu about the Saturday deadline?
Sure. I mean, it's just my deadline, but they may change it. But I think it's. I've seen too many people come out. They look like Holocaust victims from many years ago. I've never seen anything like it. I didn't think this could happen in this world today. You know, we think we have a civilized world. It's not civil. These are bad people we're dealing with. So that would be my suggestion. And he can open it up or not open it up, and that would be my. Do you have anything to say about that? Your commerce, but you have a lot to say from the standpoint of your faith and your religion. Go ahead.
So it's amazing that 4 years of nothing, and then an amazing job for you. You're changing the Middle East. You're supporting your ally Israel, and I, for one, can't be more impressed with the outcomes that you have driven. And choosing this Saturday to save people's lives or just be done with it seems like just the right choice.
But I think it's time to come up with a date. What are we going to do? Keep every week 2 people, 3 people? No, I don't think you can do that anymore. These are very seriously endangered people. These are endangered people. I don't think they're going to last very long.
And Mr. President, are you going
You know, the people that came out yesterday, they wouldn't last very long.
Were you ruling out any U.S. involvement in whatever happens after this deadline?
We'll see what happens. We'll just see what
Will
happens.
you talk with Zelensky this week, sir?
Yeah, probably.
By telephone, what's your
He
message?
wants to make a deal. Let's see. We'll see. We're dealing with them, and I think they both want to make a deal, but we'll have to see. It's got to be done.
What is Zelensky?
Would have never happened if I were president. This would never have happened. Millions of people are dead.
What will Zelensky have to give up, if anything?
We'll talk about that later because
Your reaction to a judge today continuing a pause on the buyout program for federal workers?
well, I don't know how you can lose a case like that. We're talking about people, everybody. I got elected on making government better more efficient and smaller. And that's what we're doing. And I think it was a very generous buyout, actually. Also, if people don't show up to work, we have a right to fire them. And they have an option. They can show up to work or not. If they don't want to show up to work, then let them work. Because then the next step is, have you worked before? Have you worked during this time that you're supposed to be working? You'll find many of those people, in my opinion, have had other jobs, even though they're collecting money from the federal government. Many have had, in my opinion, other jobs.
If the
And if they did, that's a big problem.
If the buyouts are blocked in court, will you instead pursue layoffs in federal departments?
I don't know how they can do. This is free will. This is a buyout where people, you know, they were offered a good deal. Many people have taken that, as you know. But, you know, many of those people, and we talk about reporting to work, right? I happen to be a believer that you have to go to work. I don't think you can work from a home. I don't know. It's like there's a whole big, oh, you can work from home. Nobody's going to work from home. They're going to be going out. They're going to play tennis. They're going to play golf. They're going to do a lot of things. They're not working. It's a rare person that's going to work. You might work 10% of the time, maybe 20%. I don't think you're going to work a lot more than that. And I think they have an obligation to work. And they have an obligation not to have a second job when they're supposed to be working for the federal government. You're going to find that a lot of these people had second jobs. Instead of working they'll be collecting a federal government check, and they'll be working 2 jobs. And that's big trouble for them.
You've said a lot about South Africa in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It's hosting the G20 summit this year. Are you planning to attend this, or are you skipping it and telling your cabinet to not?
Well, we'll see what happens, but the South African situation is very, very dangerous and very bad for a lot of people. There's tremendously bad things going on, including the confiscation of property, and worse, much worse than that. You know what I'm talking about. And we're not making any payment until we find out what's going on in South Africa. Yes,
What's next for General Kellogg going to Ukraine this week, sir, soon?
Yeah, he is. Keith Kellogg. General Kellogg is an excellent guy, and he's spending time doing various things. We have numerous people working on numerous different problems. You know, when I left office, wasn't long ago, a little more than 4 years ago, we had no wars, we didn't have problems. Now we got the whole world is blowing up, but we'll put out the fires.
You've been talking to Vladimir Putin. Are you trying to set up a meeting with him?
Well, I can't tell you what I'm talking about, but we are talking as a group also. I think you'd like to make a deal, but it takes 2 to tango.
And so, Danny, you can't give us any more clarity on whether you personally have spoken to
I don't want to talk about it. No, I don't want to talk about it. It's not going to help you to know. But we would like to get a deal done if possible, only because, in my case, save lives. You know, we're much further away. Remember, we have an ocean separating. They don't. Europe should be paying what we're paying. And Europe has done it more in the form of a loan than with us. We just give it. You know, Biden gives it because he's not a smart individual, not a very smart individual. We have people over there today who are making a deal that as we give money, we get minerals and we get oil and we get all sorts of things, because why are we doing this? And all this money, we're in for maybe 350 billion and Europe's in for 100 billion. And Europe's in really as a form of a loan. In theory, they get that money back. In theory, they get interest on their money. It's a whole different ballgame. And Biden is the one that started doing this. Every time Zelensky came here, he walked away with $60 to $100 billion. I think he's one of the greatest salesmen who have ever lived, by the way.
Can you discuss your intentions with the Kennedy Center, which you're now
Yeah.
board chair of?
So we took over the Kennedy Center. We didn't like what they were showing and various other things. And I had a lot of the board members already, as you know, and we have some that will be replaced. But we have, I guess, a whole new group of people going in. I have Rick Grinnell, who's got some experience in that world. He's very good. Going to be handling it on a temporary basis. I think he'll do a great job, but we're going to get some great professionals. I'm going to be chairman of it, and we're going to make sure that it's good and it's not going to be woke. There's no more woke in this country. This woke has cost us a fortune and cost us our reputation, but the reputation's coming back very, very rapidly. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
The penny, guys.
The penny is gone.
Go, penny's gone. Is the nickel next?
What about the diet?
What about anything? Good luck. The penny is gone. The penny cost this government a lot of money. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moments ago there, you just saw President Donald Trump talking about a number of executive orders. Apologies about those audio issues. We are back now. Again, moments ago, President Donald Trump signing those executive orders. The big picture here being that executive order that was signed on aluminum products and oil that includes from places like Mexico and Canada. Two countries that have been in a lot of hot water with this new Trump administration. A number of tariffs coming in for them. So that's going to be something to watch as we go forward. Another executive order signed include to kind of draw back a Biden administration promise on the use of paper straws, saying that plastic straws are better, essentially. Not sure what the exact text of that executive order is, but it appears more of a statement from the White House saying, we don't believe in this Democratic agenda here of using paper straws, which they claim is better for the environment and things of that nature than using plastic straws. If you remember way back in 2020 when a big movement came, save the turtles, that type of thing, when there were straws and things and trash found in the ocean, and people kind of had a little bit of uproar saying use metal straws or paper straws. That's better for the environment. So again, that was another executive order signed. Another pardon also came for, if you remember, the Democratic governor that attempted, at least was found guilty of attempting to sell former President Barack Obama's Senate seat way back in the day, really. So those were three big ones. Trump answering a number of questions from the press. A big question here about the Israel-Hamas ceasefire and where that stands. I reported on that on Sunday for Brooklyn News Live, where it was a question as to where this now stands. President Trump addressing it, saying that he wants all the hostages back, kind of saying he was upset after seeing the condition that those 3 hostages were released in last Sunday, and that comes now as today Hamas has said that Israel has broke the ceasefire by targeting Palestinians in Gaza by airstrikes. Last I checked, Israel has not weighed in on that, but we are going to continue to follow that right here on Brooklyn News. You can follow me on all of my social media pages at Jackson Mitchell BN on X. On X, it's Jackson MITCHBN. On Instagram, Jackson Mitchell BN. Facebook, Jackson Mitchell. And don't forget to subscribe and like here on YouTube. Much more coverage to come at BrooklynNews.com and everywhere you can find me.